high school guys. But they're all dumbed down, easy to read books that our guys have in a library at our program that they all love. And then also some YouTube recommendations, because I know you guys are always on the computer. Just short clips that are on there. Or there's an E60 thing. I know Dan knows the Evan Longoria thing real well. He might bring that up. That'll be in there. A couple pages out of a book of a guy we use, and then a couple pages out of a book of Ken Revizza. You guys may have heard of him. Him and Harvey Dorfman are kind of the godfathers of the mental game as far as baseball goes. Okay? But basically, why I want to do this, for one reason, is at TCU we spend 8 to probably about 10 grand on a guy named Brian Kane, who's phenomenal. And he comes in, and again, if this turns into something maybe we do again next year and it's a little more organized and make it bigger and better, I'll come out to some music and fireworks will go off in the back and all that stuff. That's basically what Brian Kane does from the start until the end of the weekend when he's here. He's the most energetic guy I've ever seen. So not only does he have good information, but he presents it really well. All right? And it'd be huge, huge benefit to want to, program at Vianney or program at the Smed or anywhere. There's one catch. We pay about 8 to 10 grand for that guy, so it's not easy to do. So I think there's a real niche. This is just going off on a personal tangent. I think there's a real niche for kind of what Southwest Airlines did. You guys may not know this, Matt, but flying was pretty expensive. Southwest Airlines kind of came in with the cheap man's version, and I don't think that's available to high schools. So that's why I kind of wanted to share some of this. But the other thing is just personally, I was always around good coaches. I was a very, very, very average athlete. But the main thing I tell you about my career is I busted my ass whenever I got an opportunity to, particularly in college, in the weight room, in the cage, on the field. There was one problem. Not until about 20 games left in my entire career as a senior did any of that really pay off on the field, or at least as much as it should. So someone asked me, what's kind of the main deal? I think it was Coach Mickler, just won a state championship. What's the gist of this whole thing? I would like for you guys, who hopefully are putting in the work, and we'll talk about that in a minute, to be able to have that work show up on the field. So again, if you are in a cage, you come in here and you're in a cage at 6 a.m. where no one can see you, how's that going to pay off for you in a game? And that's what I want to help you guys with. And hopefully you don't mind. Whenever I talk to our guys, I always got to use the index card, otherwise I'll forget stuff and then I'll get all kinds of pissed off. So hopefully you guys get your money's worth. Just ask you to charge you 10 bucks. When you pay, there's a little envelope, or a little note card where you sign your email address. Make sure you do that, no matter who you are, before you leave, so that when I send out that mass email, you can get the 5 or 6 page handout that'll be a follow-up to this. Because anything we leave out or I forget, or I don't think this will go to 9 o'clock, but if we go past, I don't want to hold you past that, and there's more information I want to get you, I'll just add it to that handout. Okay? As far as how this will go, I'm not looking for any style points. I'm not a professional at this, and I'm certainly not a professional speaker either. I don't have any visuals or anything like that, so I don't really care. All I care about is that you walk out of here with 1 or 2 things that hopefully help you down the road. Okay, so I kind of compared it. Danny didn't like my comparison, but I compared it to going to a bad movie. I think movies are actually more than 10 bucks, aren't they? So I got to believe that watching a bad movie for 10 bucks will be, at the very worst case scenario, equivalent to tonight. But again, I hope you get 1 or 2 things that will help you down the road. So I'm just going to holler at you. Our other Dan, Pietroburgo, is assistant coach at University of Missouri baseball coach. He's probably better at this because he takes up a lot of responsibility as being one of the mental coaches for the Mizzou players, whereas we kind of outsource ours, again, to the Brian Kane guy. The other guy we have is Danny Graville, who's an assistant coach with the women's soccer team up there. His relevance, first of all this stuff transcends over any sport, but his relevance is the same as Dan's. Both these guys are self-made. They're both self-made guys. And to me, that's an underappreciated or undervalued part of the mental game. It's not just, okay, if I'm taking a putt, what does my routine need to be, or visualization and all that crap. There's a whole other aspect to it that I'm going to get into a second. But these guys are good examples of that, so they're going to chime in whenever they have something, and I appreciate their help today. But again, basically what I'm going to do is spit as many ideas at you as possible. Not really that organized of a fashion, but grasp on to whatever is valuable to you and stop me if you don't understand something or you want to hear more about a particular topic. Okay, but I'm not a good enough speaker, I know, plus I don't put too much stock in having people sit in one spot for too long. And again, having this be an informal deal, I don't have exercises lined out, didn't know how many players would be here, how many coaches. So what I want to do at some point, maybe 45, 50 minutes in, is give you a break. So if it seems kind of random in the middle of the whole thing, kind of like you guys are switching classes, let's call a timeout, and I got a small bladder, and you may want to drink, or you may want to text your girlfriend, or whatever it might be, and then we'll jump right back into it. And if we get through all this stuff, what I think is beneficial amount of information, we get through it in an hour and 45 minutes, and so be it. If you guys got questions and answers that lead us all the way to 9 o'clock, then so be it, but I know your time is valuable, so we'll just rip through it and see what we get. Okay? What we need out of you guys, coaches are here, which I'm really fired up about that, because if it is going to turn into something big, it'd be something that you would think would help your whole program to get together, whether it's me going to your gym or we do this again next year. But we need out of you guys, Brian, you players, is willingness to learn. Okay, some of this stuff is uncomfortable ideas, and it's not as exciting as getting on the mound and throwing a baseball or getting in the cage and swinging a bat. So you got to be able to put yourself on a ledge a little bit and willing to do something different. Okay, and that's what we're looking for out of all of our guys, is to be different. Everybody in the Big 12 works hard. Everybody's talented. So what's going to make you different? And one of the things is our mental game approach, but you first have to kind of put yourself on a ledge and be willingness to grow instead of playing it safe and being in your cocoon. Okay? So getting started with all this stuff. It all counts. It all counts. That's a phrase we have. It's all over our building. Everything counts. So think about that. For your season coming up, if your motto, which may seem kind of psycho, is everything counts, it automatically kind of changes your outlook. So Matt, I'm going to pick on you for a second. Where'd you go before you came here?
To the gym.
What were you drinking when you came in here?
Oh, I went to McDonald's.
You went to McDonald's, okay? No big deal. Our guys go to McDonald's all the time. Do you think Tom Brady's eating McDonald's before he plays the Green Bay Packers? Probably not. So again, everything counts is a huge phrase to our guys, and the whole thing is to change their outlook, to realize that every action they take, if you want to be a superstar athlete, that's the cost of doing business. Again, it sounds kind of psychotic, but every action you take will contribute to what you're looking to do down the road. Everything counts. And you have to understand that success is a choice. It's not looking in the mirror and wishing, man, I wish I was a little taller, I wish I was faster, I've been lifting weights and I don't look like that guy in the magazine. Okay? It changes your outlook, and it makes you understand that, okay, I have responsibility for my success, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. All right? I was sitting there just kind of coming up with notes, and I've been doing camps, so really this is just a hodgepodge. Anytime I do a physical camp, I always try and involve this stuff anyway. But I was trying to think, okay, what's one thing we could use as a little intro or grab your attention and all that stuff. And again, I'm not a professional speaker, but here's something for you, coaches and players. The next, and this is baseball, so let's use baseball guy, the next Max Scherzer could be in this room. The next Mark Burley could be in this room. And I don't know how many football guys we got in here, but the next Tom Brady could be in this room. Who else did I list? Colin Klein, we all know who he is, from K-State. Evan Longoria could definitely be in this room. Brett Favre. And then the great Michael Jordan could even be in this room. Who knows what I'm getting at? Anybody? Anybody want to chime in? Players? Show some confidence?
None of them were like the best at what they did. They were kind of...
Yeah, don't sugarcoat it. They all sucked at some point. Every one of those guys. Evan Longoria, what's his deal? Dan, you know, recruiting-wise.
He recruited out of high school, JUCO, and went to the sophomore year.
Coaches, were you around for Mark Burley at all? Did you play against Mark at all, Brian? Until about junior year, he wasn't very good at all.
Yeah, really until I got to JUCO. I mean, senior year, he started pitching halfway decent, went down to Jefferson, next year started blossoming down there.
Sure. Yeah. Again, all these guys, Max Scherzer always had a great arm. Do you know who recruited Max Scherzer? Pretty much Missouri. He went on a visit to Arkansas. They offered him, I think, academic money because he was so good academically, but he was not quite good enough academically to get into Stanford, who was the other school that recruited him. He loved Mizzou, but the stars kind of aligned, and that's why he ended up there. Okay, his high school numbers were very average. He always lost to his rival team, the Kansas City Sluggers. I had to hear about that at the Kansas City camp I was at recently. And then freshman year, he flat out stunk, to be honest with you. He walked 8 guys per 9 innings, didn't pitch that much for us. Yes, he's kind of a freak example because of how electric his arm is. But the bottom line, he's like all those other guys. At some point, they faced a lot of adversity in their category, in whatever sport they play. Just like Michael Jordan getting cut from his high school team. All right? How does that pertain to you? First of all, it should get you excited a little bit. Like I said, that guy could be in this room. Anything's possible. But here's a theory that I kind of have. And Brian and Matt, you guys, and I don't know, you other guys could be subject to that. One thing that's scary for a college coach is a kid goes into high school, he wants to make his team. He wants to make the varsity. He wants to start. And next thing you know, he wants a college scholarship. He signs a college scholarship. What's left? At least during the high school career. Okay, you sign in the fall, play in the spring, right? I got this. All kinds of kids I talk to on the phone. I wish I could be there now. I wish I could be there now. You're freaking crazy. First of all, enjoy your senior year. Second of all, you better, I would wish for, if I signed with TCU, instead of 150 days till I get there, I wish I had 300. So I could prepare that many more days, okay? Make the days count is a huge phrase for us. Don't count the days, but make the days count, all right? So that's something that scares us a little bit. And the other thing is, let's use Colin Klein as an example. That's a football guy. You guys know who he is, right? K-State. You guys know 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, 5-star recruits, okay? What do you think he was? Throw out a number. What do you think? 2. He's a 2-star recruit. So what happened to Colin Klein? Why did he go from 2-star recruit to sitting in the Heisman room? Odds are that maybe he had a teammate, let's just say, that was a 5-star recruit. He shows up in a magazine, he's on the internet, feels real good about himself. I've got this figured out. All the things that go in line with that. Call it getting lazy or complacent. Next thing you know, we got Colin Klein, and all he's worried about is how do I get better? How do I get better? That's what all these guys have in common. Is they all had great work habits, and it was all about how do I get better. And that's the thing about the mental game, and trust me guys, we're going to get into the whole, what do our guys do before each pitch, but that's kind of a bigger scheme part of the mental game that people don't understand. That determination value is huge, huge. We've all played with the guy, shout out an example, Dan, if you got a good one, the guy who got bigger and faster than everybody else at some point on their team, maybe he had hair under his armpits before everyone else. We had a guy, Jamie Huss, that I played with when I was younger, who was an absolute monster. Everyone called him, he was from Hannibal. The cannibal from Hannibal is what everybody called him. Throwing harder than you could ever imagine. People want to see his birth certificate. He just got bigger than everybody else. And to me, that was a disadvantage for Jamie because he never faced the adversity that this list of guys had to face. He was always doing better than the other guys, so he never had to develop this part of his game, which I think is enormous. Does everybody follow with that example a little bit? Yeah, just get into my notes. The one thing I wrote down is the best T-shirt I think we ever had at Mizzou, even though it's kind of a softball T-shirt with a cliche on there, was create your own future. So I guess that's number one. If you guys are mentally keeping notes and you've spaced out the whole time since I've been talking, number one is create your own future. We had a T-shirt that said that. And why we said that was because the last like 3 pitchers, best pitchers at Mizzou leading up to that year were guys who were like Tom Brady. They created their own future. They weren't the poster boy from day one, but they took responsibility for their success and did that. Okay, that kind of goes into my thing. You guys, if you do read, one of the books is the most basic John Wooden one, where it's like one you could keep on your toilet and read about. They got it set up in segments. You could read about 5 segments each session you have, depending on how long your sessions are. All right? But John Wooden's Pyramid of Success is something that everybody should know. Do they teach that in high school? Or I guess they probably don't do that. I mean, it's a huge book, or a huge concept in the business world. It's his Pyramid of Success. And it's somewhat complicated. In the end, it's really basic, but it's got a lot of building blocks to it and a lot of concepts. So I came up with, not giving the Mizzou kids very much credit, what's a dumb version of what I would have as a Pyramid of Success. And it's just 2 steps. If I had a dry erase board, guys, the bottom would be a rectangle, a nice big block, and then on top of that would kind of be the top of the pyramid or a triangle. The bottom is the foundation. Okay, the bottom is the foundation, which I would just call preparation or would write prepare. Okay? The top would be compete. The top would be compete. And having that kind of pyramid of success is what was the key for all the best pitchers when I was coaching in Missouri, really all the best players I've been around. So what I'm getting at with that pyramid of success is the bottom. All these guys had a tremendous work ethic, either because they liked to do it or because they struggled and wanted to get better. But you can't argue that all these guys and really anyone in the best field you come up with. You guys listen to rap music, think of whoever the best rapper is, or actors. Willing to bet all those people may have talent, but they have that foundation of preparation. Okay? And then on top of that, we call the compete. And if you're going to compete, you do it with confidence. So when we preach this stuff to our guys, it's really good. We'll talk about swagger in a second. It's really good to walk around like this, and it's great to have 8 batting gloves in your back pocket and look real good and pump yourself up and all that good stuff. But if you don't have that foundation, just like if your house doesn't have a good foundation, it's going to crumble. So to me, it all starts with the work ethic part, which again, thought I had that piece, but at the top of that pyramid, it was never necessarily the right way to use that foundation and compete with confidence. So to me, that's what you're looking for. That's a common trait for all of those guys that I listed here, and hopefully you guys have other examples of guys who came out of nowhere or maybe just continue to get better and snuck up on somebody. Okay? That preparation part, I know you guys are here to hear some mental game stuff, but we can't lose sight of, the mental game's a lot easier to be tough mentally if you spent hours and hours in the weight room below us, or hours and hours in this cage. So the preparation part is a big part. And we talk about all the time with our guys, do you spend or do you invest your time? If I had a lemon up here, what's your name, bud? Brendan. If I had a lemon up here and I asked him to squeeze all the juice into a cup, and then I sent you back up there, and then Danny, I came up here and said, you come too, you think you get some more out of that lemon? Probably. See where I'm going with that? That's what we're looking to do with our practices. University of Texas, no doubt, is our rival. Okay? We're kind of to the point, I'm the recruiting coordinator, so it's my job, but we're kind of to the point where we can compete with those guys on paper. But that school is the cheapest school in Texas, and it is the state school in Texas. So for argument's sake, they're always going to be better for us than us on paper. So how the hell are we going to catch up? When we play them 3 times, how are we going to win 2 games instead of just 1? And that's our philosophy, is our practices are get up there and make sure the whole team's watching, squeeze the lemon, and it'll get them every time. There's always something out of there you can squeeze. So for us, it's about spending time versus investing time. If you're the guy that's willing to squeeze the shit out of that lemon until there's every little drop out of it, you're investing your time. And when you make an investment, you get something back. If you're just spending time, then when Coach Brown tells you you got 10 swings on the tee, you're going to go through the motions and swing 10 times. Okay, it's kind of like Ken Reviz is the guy we're modeling all this stuff after. All right, you guys, just to get your bodies moving, players a little bit, take your arm and go up and down 10 times real quick. Don't hit anybody in the face. You can go forward or side. Okay? You can stop, whatever number you're on. Okay, that's spending time. That's taking 10 swings off the tee. As opposed to Bill Miller, do you know who he is? Played here, helped break the curse for Boston Red Sox, won a batting title. Bill Miller was a guy, if he was going to take 10 swings off the tee, he was going to do them like this. Okay? Raise your arms, following me. Okay, a little reach at the top, kind of feel the air you go through, back up and down. See the difference? It's just going through the motions. I could have said that to save you a little bit of time and exercise. But you see where I'm going with the very important phrase for our guys of investing versus spend. And why that's important is because of the equation that's up in our locker room. And you guys have to buy into this if you're going to buy into the mental game that has to do with busting your ass. Today, plus today, plus today, plus today equals what? Your career. Okay? Brian, if you're fortunate enough to start a game in college, let's say you're starting on a Saturday, whatever you did from Sunday until Friday night, and maybe even Saturday morning, is going to be what your outing is. Your outing is going to be a result of those days plus day plus day. So all you guys have a leg up on somebody, whether it be someone who plays a position on your team at Vianney, or maybe a guy who's at CBC that didn't show up today, or whatever it might be. But you guys are here. You're getting better today. So at some point today will factor into your career. But it's continuous today, today, today. If you're a pitcher, and I'm totally against this, but if your goal is to throw 90 miles an hour and you throw 85, how are you going to get there? You're going to constantly, consistently frustrate yourself if you're going in there and working with Coach Salunas and trying to throw 90 from 85, make that big jump. Okay? But if I asked you to get to 86 after 2 months, okay, by busting your ass, and that's your only mission is to get to 86, could you do it? Hell yeah. Okay, let's next month, or maybe next 2 months, get to 87. All right, just using the velocity again, I don't necessarily agree with that one, Coach. But you see the example I'm using there with you. The other thing I'll tell you that I wish, if I could go back in time, I would do this more. All right? Practice day is when you should put pressure on yourself. What's pressure? I mean, what's the definition of pressure? Okay. And when was the last time you saw it? Today? You saw it? What did it look like? Okay. Did it look like the strength coach? You look like a bad man? All right? I'm teasing you and picking on you. The point is, you could really argue if you're going to get good at this mental stuff, pressure does not exist. And for some of those guys, like Big Poppy or some of those guys that are extremely confident in themselves, it almost really doesn't at all. So they're not necessarily peak performers where they only hit well in the 9th inning, but Big Poppy could probably give a shit if it's the 9th or the 1st inning. He probably gets more excited that he can be the man in the 9th inning whenever that big situation comes up. Okay? But my point is, pressure is all about whatever you think it is. Okay? So if you're going to apply pressure to yourself or have days where you're stressed out or sweating the small stuff, you do it on practice day. You do it on practice day. Let's use football as an example because it's a week preparation. Tom Brady, and well, actually Peyton Manning's probably as good as anybody according to what they say, of putting non-stop pressure on themselves from Monday night or whenever they start all the way till game day. And then what's game day? It's enjoyment to them. It's enjoyment to them. Okay? I'm calling you in a second for how some of those guys operated. But to me, that's huge, is to put pressure on yourself on practice day. On game day, enjoy it. So back to my foundation of preparation versus the compete. This is the part where the blood, sweat, and tears comes. This should be the enjoyment part. And Muhammad Ali has the best quote going about when he'd win a boxing match, everyone thought he performed phenomenally. What they didn't get was all the stuff he did leading up to that match is why he won. Okay, when you're a boxer and you're running at 4:30 a.m., I need to add it to YouTube. There's a real good one that's Floyd Mayweather. I know he's pretty damn cocky, but it's a real good one. The dude works his butt off, and it's got him running at 4:30 a.m. with some inspirational stuff. The bottom line is, who's seen you run at 4:30 a.m.? Okay? Everybody sees you in the ring knocking somebody out on Showtime or whatever it is, but they don't see that. Okay? So I guess what I'm saying to you is my own version of what our head coach always says is, if you're going to play at TCU, you've got to love to practice. Everybody likes to play. You've got to love to practice. So if you went to a class at the SMET tomorrow and walked in and said, how many of you guys want to play against CBC on Friday? It's going to be a night game and there's going to be a big crowd at a baseball game. Almost everybody's, there'll be some weirdos in there, but almost everybody's going to raise their hand and say they want to do that. Okay, who wants to get up on Thursday at 6 a.m. for weights? Nobody's going to raise their hand. I'd like working hard in the weight room. I'm not going to raise my hand for 6 a.m. Okay? So you got to love to practice, not just like to play. I wanted to ask Danny, because Danny at our place has trained some of the best athletes. Like I said, I kind of skipped ahead on the intros, again, informally. But Danny at the SMET, or I'm sorry, he went to high school here at the SMET at Mizzou, has trained some of the best athletes. Blaine Gabbard, Chase Daniel, you guys know them because they're on TV, but also some of the other athletes like Nick Tepish, Kyle Gibson, top 5-round pitchers that we had. Guys that go seek him out because of his background. And not only is he a soccer coach, but he's also a triathlete, which I wouldn't know where to begin with training for that and then mentally going through the endurance part. So all I wanted was to ask Danny what some of the kind of common traits or what he sees out of those guys like Chase, that's a short, round quarterback that all of a sudden ends up in the NFL. And at some point, we'll get his opportunity to play a little bit. Danny.
So,
real quick, just kind of touch on what Tony was talking about a little bit. This is, by the way, just a great opportunity to have Coach Vitello talk to you guys. I think it's awesome that everybody came out here tonight, and it's a great opportunity to have Tony speak to all of us. We can always learn something. Just to kind of, and to add on the list of people that were there, I think one of my favorites was Aaron Crow, and I think everybody knows Crow. And you talk about somebody that, and Tony talked a little bit about it, but he said something about being competitive, okay? And when we define competitive, these guys, it's not just do they like to win the game. It's how fast can they eat their breakfast, how fast can they tie their shoes. Kyle Gibson, it was pool, it was cards, it was, you don't even realize how competitive these guys are. Everything they do, super common traits with everything that they do, okay? One of the second thing was, and I'm sure Tony's going to kind of get on this, is the ability to struggle. And that was something that all these guys, when I start to get in, when it's 1v1, we're in the pool, we're doing water workouts and stuff, some of them struggled a little bit. And you wouldn't even realize that they were struggling. Some people, and you guys will struggle, once you kind of understand, we call it in the triathlete world, embrace the suck, basically. And once you understand that you will struggle, that's going to be one of the biggest keys that you have, because fighting through that struggle and having that mental toughness to kind of get over the hump. How many people here want to play college ball?